Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting Your Little Castle show. How many people find it important to protect important parts of their, how many, I'll bring it up like this. There's a number of ways to talk about what you guys do, but I mean, a house, super important. And then the second biggest asset is the car. And how do you protect that? How many people lose great value in their car because they don't protect it with a garage? It's a big difference. And it's also a great place for people to gather. And there's all kinds of uses for that. And you guys have been doing this for 50 years, celebrating 50 years here. Welcome to the studio, everybody. Dennis Sharp. And we love having the president of the business here, Rick Otto, in the building for Coach House Garages. Did I say that right? I kind of stumbled through some of it, but it's okay because I'm human too. Yeah. And we want people to understand that we have the president and regional director here making sure that we help the people in our community to have an incredible resource. House first, garage, car, big items people need to make sure that they have properly configured, set up, and in use to protect their assets and make good family situation too, right? Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on here. I tell you, we always have to give a shout out to our guests to introduce the show, and then we talked about our sponsors. So behind you can see here we have Carroll House Furniture, and when you get to some of the best known names in our little planet right here, Carroll House Furniture does an incredible job because they allow us to have nice things in our house, right? Maybe as important as the garage. Sorry, Brooke, but the garage, you got to have that. But you want to have some nice things in the house, and no better place to get those things than from Carroll House Furniture. We're so proud to have them as a sponsor on our show. With that, then, we also need to make sure that when you're protecting the house, and we will make sure that we all have a beautiful place to live, and we got nice furniture in it. But then, how do you get a house? So the nice things in your house for your little castle, but USA Mortgage. If we didn't have a way to purchase that home, then we'd all be in trouble, right? You have to have, most people can't just pay cash for a house. I think in the early days of the houses, that's what they did. Right. But that didn't last long if they wanted everybody to have one of these. And in America, that's a pretty cool resource that most people can attain, and they do the financing. So shout out to USA Mortgage on Your Little Castle show. Then behind you can see we've added a slide here. This is part of the speakers tour slides I stole from my speakers tour list, but it shows we do have so many incredible guests that really make a big difference in our community, and that's why we wanted to invite you guys on. So check out our videos out there. This whole interview will be on our YouTube channel, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those places people can see all of our videos. But then shout back out there. There's our sponsor. But I wanted to jump right into, we've got behind us here pictures. We're going to get into those in just a minute. But before we get into that, I'm going to put up on the wall your guys' website. And there it is. And I'm going to zoom out for our TV wall wide shot so that people can kind of see what we got going on here. Beautiful website. We got it up on two of our walls there. And incredible information you guys share. So let's get into it. Why did this company get started 50 years ago? Right, and so Rick, we're going to start off with you with that, I suppose, as the young man who knows the history of the company.
Well, in 1973, Willis Miller had an idea of panelizing walls way before his time. Roger Gadbury was a local businessman who sold cars in Mount Zion, Illinois, and he needed a building built, so he called Willis, and Willis said, yes, we could do that. And a couple weeks later, they showed up, built this office building for a used car business. At one point, Roger said to Willis, well, we could be building garages like this, where the walls are all panelized, come out, it's like a big kit form, and it's done rather quickly. And so there was born the idea of the garage business.
Well, I mean, the garage business is something like I talked about. How many houses don't have a garage? And I guess that's part of what you're filling the gap for, because some of your older houses may not have had a garage when they were initially constructed. But these automobile things started catching on. Is that the primary function? I mean, I don't want to sell it. It's just the only thing you do. But it's a key thing because that's what goes into a garage these, these days, right?
Yes. The garage, yeah, is mostly for the car, but we've expanded to where we're doing, it may be an additional family room off of the house, a place in the garage, a place where you can go, where you might not have room in the house to do things, workshops, that kind of thing. But it's evolved to man caves, she sheds, whatever that may be.
Okay, I like some of that. Dennis, tell us a little bit about why you enjoy.
Well, an interesting fact, when I started selling last year and not really realizing the niche that they had, most of the older cities were designed small lots, houses, alleys, garages. So we provide garages in Indiana, Illinois, few in Michigan, I believe, Iowa, and St. Louis. So when I started looking at the layout of the cities, especially St. Louis, and realizing the entire city scope is based upon that concept. So there's a lot of garages to build in the city because everybody's on an alley, everybody's on a small lot, and everybody's got a garage off of an alley. And I think a lot of that born into the fact that there's a real niche for this product.
Well, true. I believe it's obviously something that makes a difference for that house. I mean, it adds a huge resource. I mean, I'll throw a tangent into this if it's all right with you guys. When you're doing an evaluation of a house, an estimate, an appraisal, this gets included in the value of the house, right? It's on the property. Sometimes it's attached, sometimes it's separate. Most times, I guess, most of what you guys do, are they separate from the rest of the house, or how do you guys build them? Everything I've seen looked like it was detached.
They're both. We do attached garages and detached garages. And you're right, it does add value to the house. Currently, the economic situation that we're dealing with, now is a good time as any to invest in your property. Compared to, real estate isn't quite as busy as it was a couple years ago, so it's an opportunity to build that garage at your house, add value to your property, and it really does add value.
Dennis,
Yes,
why is that so important?
well, again, if you look at other places that you can put your money to invest, it seems to be pretty tricky, especially stock market, banks, so on and so forth.
Yep.
But if you have an investment already in your home and you can increase that investment's always going to go positive and never negative. So I think the more people can add to that value of their property, their house, like you said, protect and especially the price of cars going up. I mean, holy cow, I'd want to protect that investment as well. But also, too, to bring up another element that I find, we got a lot more crime going on. We got a lot more situations where people are stealing. And I had a lady that woke up one morning wanting to know when her garage was going to get built because she had some people snooping around underneath of her car, and we couldn't have got it built fast enough for her. So, I mean, when you look at these alley situations, people are looking to protect their investments off the alley issues.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and again, back to protecting that resource that most of us do feel is important to do, to have, because it's hard to transfer around this part of the world without a car, right? Trains, a little bit you can do that. I took the train to Chicago, but other than that, I don't ride a train but once every 2 or 3 years, it seems. But you got to have a car, and you want to make sure it's protected.
Well, especially in the Midwest where we are, car transportation's big. If you're on the coast, certainly mass transit's the way to go. But where we're here, hubbed in the Midwest, cars are everything.
Yeah. Well, very important. Let's talk a little about the history. I think, Rick, you're going to talk about some of give me that rich background. And we talked about it, 1973. I know that era well because that's about the time I was born. I was born in 72, the big 5-0. So I've been around 50 years now, coming up this year, right?
Yes. 50 years. Like I said, mentioned earlier, started by an Amish fellow named Willis Miller. Was a 8th grade education and very brilliant man, but had a dream of building the garages in a timely, efficient manner. So it grew from the first dealer was there in Mount Zion, Illinois, Roger, and then we've just expanded through the years throughout Illinois, portions of Indiana, and here in St. Louis. So it's our goal from even back then was to build a quality building at a fair price. And we still do that.
Well, and there's one of the, we talk about what is it that sets businesses apart? How is it that businesses succeed? And it's always got to be a matter of a good quality product at a fair price. If it's not a win-win-win for everyone, then it doesn't work. Stephen Covey, I think, had a book about that, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes.
And so if that's not the key, I mean, that I think is exemplified by the fact that you guys have been around for 50 years. That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Well, the quality product thing, again, I've been selling since last July. I did St. Louis Home Show, and I'm introducing our product to a couple people just so happen to stop by, and so happens a gentleman walks by and he stops. He goes, "I have a Coach House garage built 20 years ago." I said, "Sir, where is it built?" Centralia, Illinois. And next thing you know, I just back off, and he's telling this individual about the product, and it sells itself. It's like a culture. People that have had Coach House garages before. I mean, I just did 2 builds where they've had a Coach House garage. They're moving, and they're like, "I want another one." It's amazing when I'm out there selling. We get a lot of referrals off of people seeing a neighbor get a Coach House garage built. And they see what's been reflected in me is the build crew from the foundation was courteous, nice, good people. They remarked on that. They remarked on the quality job they did. But then when the product comes in, they see it installed in basically 4 or 5 hours. They see how well the team works together. And these are young kids, and they're putting together this product, and then they're gone. But more importantly, they don't leave anything behind. No trash. No screws, no nails. They pick everything up. But they wipe the whole garage down and they leave. And then I had one guy garage getting built, and he was crying. I'm like, "John, are you crying?" He's like, "I waited my whole life for this. I cannot believe I'm actually experiencing this."
Integral to the success of a business. And I want to make sure that we cover that important information, because that's what this show is really all about. It's for people to understand that here's how businesses have become successful. We want businesses to come. You're going to share some of your secrets, if you would, which you are. That really helps us to realize you're in it to help everybody, not just to be a successful business for yourself. And you can pick up the tips that we're talking about here. So we're covering a number of those right here. And I want to get into it in a little bit. I've got some notes over here, mostly based in the Midwest, obviously. And you've covered the states I was looking at on the website. Why don't I jump into the website a little bit here? Because I want to show everybody, you guys do have a great looking website. So with that, I'm going to put up on the TV wall here for everybody. There is your website. And yeah, it looks great. And so we can show the locations you guys have here. So when you end up trying to get information about any kind of business, you want to get to where they have their locations outlined in detail. And so I'm going to get over here. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to cheat and look it up from up here. But if you go to the contact page, I believe is where I found this. And then you scroll down here, and you can see, so everybody can see there's our heroes making a difference. But you got Alton, Bloomington, Carbondale, Champaign, Danville, Decatur, Dwight, Effingham, Galesburg, Jacksonville, Mattoon, Mount Vernon, Peoria, Princeton, Quad City, Springfield, and Yorkville. Went through that pretty quickly, but
And you got more over there.
and that's just half of it, right? We got Fort Wayne, Goshen, okay, Indianapolis North and South, Kokomo, Lafayette, Terre Haute, St. Louis, Quad Cities, and Goshen. Again, is that a
Yeah, that's from the
Michigan location?
Just a little bit in Michigan.
Okay, gotcha.
From the Goshen.
So serving a wide area for everybody to understand that here's where we have the option to serve a lot of people. I mean, I can only estimate the population that you have in that area is dozens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. Not in the hundreds yet, but dozens of millions.
If I can interject another concept of what I was just explaining about, when this garage is shipped from Arthur, Illinois, or Peoria, wherever it's shipped,
They all come from North.
these guys are leaving it early in the morning, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
They're driving 2.5, 3 hours to the location. So they're getting out of the truck, and literally, I've watched them, timed them. Within 20 minutes, the trailer's unpacked, and they're already putting up walls. And then after 6-hour day, maybe 7, sometimes 5, they get back in the truck and they go back home, 3 hours, and then they get up the next day and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Just knowing that, and not only that, they're doing an amazing job while they're in that day. I've grown to have such a tremendous respect for the build teams of this organization. They're kind of like the silent guys. They come in, they're real stealthy. Garage goes up, they leave. And then the accolades, like they call me, "Hey, great job." I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I watched the garage go up with you. These guys are doing the work, but also too the team in the factory. Talking to Larry and those guys, putting together the product in the factory to make sure when it comes out it fits. All the elements are there. Everything's pre-cut. Bam. There's a lot that goes into that.
Well, yeah, I would say I have to produce a TV show, and there's a lot of coordination that goes on that. My everything I do though is effectively computer automated virtual, right?
Right.
If I mess it up, I can delete it and redo it. You guys don't have that option really. It's got to be done right the first time. Rick, talk a little bit about that when you're designing these things, and a lot of that, like Dennis was saying, is constructed at your location and then brought ready to assemble. There's a whole lot of prep work there. Pre-measurements, talk a little bit about that if you would, how that works for you guys.
It takes a whole team to do it. Starts with Dennis, obviously, planning ahead out at your house, at your property, figuring out what can and can't be done, and then with our submission of the order to our office in Arthur, then the production manager Larry and his assistant Daryl will go through, analyze, and figure out everything we need and get that ordered. And in the meantime, as soon as Dennis gets the foundation done, of course first got to pull the permits, gets the foundation in, then he gets those measurements back to us, what everything measures, because it's much easier to fix it now than it is once we get to the job site. Once Dennis submits those drawings, we then have those to review the measurements, make sure we got it right. And then the crew heads out to do the build, and that's always said they're the star of the show. They're the ones that show up. It's like a well-orchestrated, like a good basketball team, that I pass the ball, such. I mean, it's, they don't go around the building just to walk around. It's almost always they're doing something in the process. It's quite unbelievable. I think everyone should get a chance to watch at least one theirs be done. But then it's just a work of art. I mean, these guys, we teach them from the beginning is to do it right. Just like anything, you learn to do it right, and then naturally you become quicker at it. And that's part of the process. Quality is our goal. We only get one chance to do it right. Things can be corrected and do if it happens.
Well, a great point you make there, and that leads into something else I want to discuss with you. A little bit about the overall of the company. I mean, your culture you're talking about there essentially, and the way you develop a style and a method to get this done in an efficient way, so you have a great product that can last for 50 years in business, and the product itself could last for, I guess, centuries potentially,
right.
As constructed so well. Tell us a little. What do you feel like Jim really did for you guys to help launch this company and start what you guys are doing now?
So I mentioned Willis. Willis was our president for a long time, and then Jim became the owner back in 1996, and up until 2018, Jim was 100% owner. In 2018, Jim was thinking he's going to be retiring in the next 5-10 years, whatever it was. And so rather than to just sell to the highest bidder, he recognized and felt really good about the culture of the company. We have a lot of good people, and he felt it was critical to maintain that culture and the way we do things. Our goal is to always take care of people. So rather than to just sell the business to the highest bidder, what he did was created what they call an ESOP, an employee stock ownership program. And so the workers just continued to do their thing, and we earned shares in the company. As of this year, 2023, January 1, we became 100% employee owned. So what he did for us was gave us a gift that most bosses never give you. You know, some bosses will give you a bonus, but he's given us basically ownership in the company. So it's quite an honor.
And that leads to another great point that I see here we've touched on, and that is something important for any business, is what kind of accolades, what kind of awards have you guys won? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. 2010, I believe we won the St. Louis Area Better Business Bureau Torch Award, which was quite an honor. We have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and that's not by accident. Our goal is to take care of customers. Always say if it's wrong, let's fix it. If it's right, explain why it's right, and we continue to go on. But we've had numerous awards from our garage door company that we buy doors from. Many years ago, Angie's List was we were top service provider for them in the Indianapolis area. Also here in the St. Louis area a number of years ago with Angie's List, so, which is now something else. But our goal is to take care of our customers, and I feel we do that.
Well, that's the essence of success. Again, we can reiterate, but there's so many pieces along the way that have to be integrated, and one of those is you need some of those awards, not because awards are so important to receive,
right.
But number one, my dad used to complain to me a little bit about, be careful about how many awards you get, because you become a target a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess that's going to be part of it. But if you don't have people a little bit jealous of you, to say the least, then you must not be doing anything significant, right? And then at the same time, it's a good example for a lot of people to realize, well, then how did they get that award? Well, can I do that too? Right. And I'd love for kids to see when somebody gets an award. I remember as a kid, we all joked about, I don't like Bobby. Why? Because he's standing in front of the crowd and he got some accolades. Mm-hmm. But that's our basic thought process, right? Let's take that to another level and really think about, what did he do to do that? And that's what I want people to understand. So I want to brag about your awards because I want other people to see this. And when they realize this isn't just a well-reputed company that you can trust, it's also an example for everybody too. And hopefully you'll run your company the same way and aspire to do that, because we're not all here just for our own little individual success. We're here for the longevity of this little humanity we have. Does that make sense, Dennis?
Yeah, I have a steep background in construction and so on and so forth since I was 21. And the construction industry is pretty murky. You look at it on all ends of home remodel, windows, you hear all the horror stories. Contractor comes in. I mean, when we sign a contract, we get 20% down. And that's a lot of money on a garage. But people have to feel that when they put that 20% down, based upon our efforts from the beginning of getting permits, staying on task and communication, they can trust that money's going toward the end product. A lot of times you hear the stories of guys coming in and get money down, you never hear from them again. They're gone, they're lost. So in the construction industry, every time I walk into a home and I'm meeting with a person, I'm trying to present our company is that we're not those people. And with these awards and these track records, you can point back and say, we wouldn't have gotten these if we were a shady contractor, or we weren't doing the things we were supposed to be doing. So those help from a sales standpoint to be able to work with the client and have some past history to remark upon.
Well, again, back to the whole, I don't know how many times we're going to have to say it, but here are the things that are important that you should have as examples for pieces that we all need to learn from to be successful. And you're talking about, how many times have we heard those stories? I'm not going to say I know anybody personally, but there was not to bring any bad history up, but there was literally, I was in a tough situation and said, hey, I'll do the job, and then disappeared. Mm-hmm. And that's just horrible to imagine. But that's not a strategy for longevity, but right. There's some of that you have to watch out. That's when you see a company that's been around for 50 years, you're going, a lot less of that I have to worry about. Obviously, they're established and we don't have to.
In the construction industry, I had a boss tell me one time, engineers need license, architects need license, everybody needs license, but the contractor, he needs a truck, a name on the side, and a ladder. And then so these are the people that have to interpret drawings, they have to do the things that build the product. So when you look at that going into the construction industry, there, and also too when times are tough and people are looking a way to make a dollar, they say I'm blah 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 construction company. I can come in and build your garage. I can come in and do this and this and this. Again, when you have a background, you can point to. It just helps with the sales end of it, the trust end of it.
Rick, can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, he was mentioning the pickup truck and the hammer type of thing. Just want to touch on our warranty. We have a 5-year written warranty on the workmanship and the quality of the building. So one of the things I always tell customers, or have told customers for years, if you have something that's not right, not working right, you don't even have to yell. Just tell us, and we'll come correct it. Dennis referenced the pickup truck builder, and not to pick on those guys, but their warranty is the what they call the tailgate warranty. So as long as you see their tailgate, you still have a warranty.
That's interesting. That's a good point, though. Effectively, how often do we have an issue where, that contractor has left because the job is done, there's still something that needs to be addressed, and there's nobody there.
Well, even as a new salesperson, I'm doing callbacks from people that, in 2 cases, somebody tried to break into their garage, so they tried to mow down their garage doors. So immediately, this one guy has his building built 10 years ago. Another guy even longer. And they went to the website, called me, sales rep. I came out immediately, took some pictures, called it in. And I said, why did you call us? He goes, you built my garage. It's a great product, and I know I can trust that you guys will come back and take care of the situation. Although it wasn't anything we did, they had enough trust in the beginning build to know that they could call us back after 10 years or 12 years, and we're going to get right on it. We're going to get the garage door replaced. It's going to be seamless, no problems. How much in our world today where everything's complicated, it's an issue. Just getting something on somebody's desk is an issue. They've got it knocked out. I mean, you just get on I-360, send it up. Next thing you know, within a couple of days, Larry's calling. Problem solved.
Very, very important for the fulfillment, happiness of clients that you want to continue to. Reputation is everything, isn't it? I mean, essentially, if you don't have your reputation, you don't have anything. And people bank on that. And so reviews come into that. We all kind of know the reviews thing a little bit, and how you get the reviews. But beyond that, there's always going to be that discussion people have privately in the community, who they can trust. It's not written on any kind of a documented website or piece of paper, but people talk to each other and share that with each other. All right, now we're getting into the community stuff I talk about. So I'm going to throw on the Cardinal Cowboy hat there.
There you go.
Appreciate you guys. And that's when I said we got to put the hat on to represent. I knew what you guys stood for before we met. Obviously, that's why we always research our guests who are going to be on the show. And after finding out what you guys do and really the background and especially what you really believe in making the world a better place, I was like, we got to have these guys on the show. So very, very important stuff. You guys may have seen a couple of references there to Jason. We teased a little bit. Your title came up a couple times here because Jason also helps run the region in this area, doing the Metro East and Southern Illinois region, right? And so we're going to have him join us here in just a minute. But yeah, we'll go in with that. So I'll do our little, there's a couple ways for me to do this, but hey guys, we're producing the show here live while we do everything. So I'm going to put on us the TV. I'm going to have Rick talk a little bit about why you like this St. Louis region. Wow, we're going to do a switch here. Hopefully you don't even notice what we're doing, but I'm telling you about it. So that's how we do things. We're always upfront about everything we do, even if we mess it up, right? But here it is. So Rick, tell us a little bit why you like the St. Louis region.
Well, for one, I'm a Cardinal fan, so gotta love St. Louis. But for me personally, it goes back to 1994. So the first garage that I ever sold in my sales world was in St. Anne, and but St. Louis has been good to Coach House, and I hope Coach House has been good to St. Louis. We have somewheres around probably 1,500 to 2,000 garages in this area, in the 50 years. We've been to St. Louis a lot. We come to St. Louis and we love St. Louis. One of the things is a lot of the older homes in St. Louis downtown area, the whole area there, have a lot of the big old house with a detached garage in the backyard. Some of those have been, over the years, needed to be replaced, and that's where we've come in. And actually our concrete contractor that does work for us here in the St. Louis market has been with us over 30 years. So we look for long-term relationships, friendships that we can build on, knowing that we can trust them, that when we're going out to do the project, that we have the right people going out to do that.
Well, that leads to what I want to talk a little bit here. And now we have Jason on set. Jason, how you doing?
Good.
What
Glad
is
to
it
be here.
like serving the Metro East St. Louis area and Southern Illinois? I know that area a little bit. I had a position with a company where I was down there, and oh boy, there's all kinds of Cairo. I think they say Cairo,
Cairo.
right? And oh boy, going down southeast Missouri State. Sorry, Carbondale, right?
SIU, Carbondale.
SIU, there's Edwardsville and there's Carbondale, but this is the Carbondale region. Yeah,
That's right.
Tell me about that.
It's a great area. I love Southern Illinois, working with the people there. A lot of good people.
And and elaborate on that if you want.
Yeah, I've been in Southern Illinois. Well, grew up in Southern Illinois. Born in Alton, but lived in Southern Illinois since I was 5. I've worked in sales for 25 plus years, covering Southern Illinois, a little bit in Missouri. So it was great to have an opportunity to work with Coach House in Southern Illinois, where I grew up and know so much about it.
Tell me more.
Well, so about 5 years ago, I was in business for myself, had a medical supply business, knew the guys that worked in that Mount Vernon area, covered the Metro East as well, and was looking for my next venture as our business was winding down. And at that point, I learned about Coach House and immediately kind of fell in love with the idea and thought it would be a fun job. Not just a job, but a fun thing to do to help people design something that for some people is a dream, something that they want. Everything I ever sold was things that people needed. So what a switch, you know, hey, this is something they want. They're happier when you're dealing with them, when it's something they're looking forward to having. So I enjoy that about it.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about, Rick, if you will. The companies all over the Midwest here.
Right.
How excited are you to have reps that have such historical track record, proven, helping the community, making a difference?
It's static. We make a all-out effort to find good quality people, and sometimes that goes. Jason and I started talking 5 years ago, something like that, and over the last several years, when a couple people were retiring, I reached out to Jason, and we finally found the right opportunity for Jason, and we believe in it's all about the people. Have good people doing the things we need done, helping our customers, and in the end, we all have a good experience for the customer.
Well, and that gets back into some of the other important components when we talk about high quality products, right? I've got some notes here I made because I do appreciate companies that are doing these things, but treating each other with respect. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about that. They don't write that down. But why do you feel that is so important for the success of your business?
To be respected, one must respect, and it all starts with respecting. I've heard the term, you're the big guy. No, I just work with everybody. We're all in it together. There's no big, me sitting around calling shots. But when you have a great team, all you got to do is let them do their thing. Give them the freedom to do their work, and they will.
Well, if you will, tell me a little bit about the shine. What the Coach House shine? What does that really mean? And I want to go to Jason for that one first.
Sure.
But I recommend you talk about that too. Go ahead, Jason.
So the shine is all the people that make up what Coach House is and has become.
Yes.
and how well Coach House takes care of their people.
Yeah, and so it's putting that little shine on. It says, we're not just going to make it look good. We're going to make it shine. Okay, now I think I understand what that reference is to, and that's important because it's not just something that looks good and completed. It's got to look dynamite. And does that help add to the value? Obviously, when you're talking about the biggest asset anybody owns in their house, you're adding to that with what you do. Is that true, Rick?
Yeah, what would add to that is that as the crew is building this building, I mean, there's debris and stuff, but along the way they clean it all up. When they're done, they sweep out the building. Along the way, a little secret that we've always, a secret coming out of it, but is the crew would wipe and clean the siding as they do it. And so they clean the windows and all that kind of thing. So when they leave, that's the Coach House shine. It's brand new. It should look brand new, and it is brand new.
Well, very important stuff because it's the component you've just set people up with now is something that they will be able to use for decades, not just weeks like so many of our temporary items that we all purchase because we need them, but they don't necessarily have to stick around. I've heard other cultures around the world say that the United States is known for making a lot of stuff that they don't necessarily need. When you're doing this kind of work, it's something that will last for a long time. And I get into that, and not to throw out too much of a tangent, but when a house becomes the biggest asset anyone ever owns for like 98% of the population. So you're really adding to that, and this helps for retirement purposes and the family heirloom and everything that goes along with that. That's pretty neat, how that all ties together. Talk to me a little bit about how do you keep things going in a down economy? I know that's something that is, it seems like it's a cycle. It's like this isn't the first time we're potentially in the middle of a down economy or up or wherever we're at, but how does that impact what you guys do and what you're offering and how you respond to that help people?
How do we keep things going in a down economy? Our motto has been forever, we don't participate in a down economy. And part of that is just our mindset that we can only do what we can do, and it's all up to us to do what we normally do and get results. Right now, I kind of touched on earlier, in a down economy, with your money might not be doing good in maybe stock market, 401k, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's better off taking and investing in your property at a time like this, and it's going to give you some return on your investment down the road compared to seeing your money in your portfolio diminish.
Sure, and that back to that most important asset that most people own, being the house that they live in, and gains value traditionally as it appreciates. Right, that's an important piece. Jason, talk to me a little bit about that, and especially over in the how different is Southern Illinois from the other regions? I mean, St. Louis, we're the big city, right? We're not the Chicago, New York, LA, but I was working in that region in Marion and the other parts over there. Little bit different method for the way they do things, and how do you best interoperate there? Because I mean, this may be a bigger decision for some people over there, or how does this help bring value to what you're doing over there?
Well, and so many of the people that I've heard from for leads, half the time they say, oh, well, my neighbor has one or my family member has one. The referral process that we're getting so many people referred by happy customers, that was something that surprised me right out of the gate. When I would hear that, it was great to hear. And just like Dennis said at the home show, people walking by pointing, going, yeah, I've got one of those. You know, that helps, it sells itself. So, and the quality, I wanted to speak of that too. You mentioned, a minute ago, the office I work out of is a demo. I didn't realize how long it'd been there. It'd been there almost 40 years. You cannot tell. Looks like it was just put up. It's amazing the durability of our product.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's important, and we want to talk about that as well. So let's talk a little bit about some of the work that you guys have done. And I've got my production assistant reminding me that we do want to show the pictures up here. Highly priced, not necessarily highly paid by our services here, but we allow we do what help from Offset. Appreciate Jason for a little bit of insight there about the important stuff you guys do. So we got some pictures up here. I did actually auto switch there and got to the right slide. But let's bounce around here a little bit if we can. And there it is as a intro. But talk a bit about these pictures, and you can turn around and look at them on the wall. I'm going to go ahead and make these go up on the TV for everybody to see.
Okay.
And so then we won't have any problem for people seeing what we're looking at there. As I switch to the right screen there. There it is. Okay, so talk about this one, if you would.
Well, this one in particular, you notice that has the brick down at the bottom coming up, what they call a wainscot. This is duplicating or mimicking someone's property. So when we go out, our initial thought is to not make it look like it's something that doesn't belong. Most everybody wants their garage to match their house. So that's very instrumental in as part of our processes, making sure we can do that. Sometimes, bricking the entire garage is not always economically possible. So then we will do, in this case, has siding up above the brick. But when you drive by the house, the garage is complementary to the house and not.
Okay, we got a number of them to go through. Let's go.
Yeah.
Is that a different shot of the same one?
Well, and here's a very unique. This
Okay.
happens frequently in St. Louis or something similar, where you can actually see the foundation going into the side of a hill. So we've actually built a retaining wall in the back to keep everything, the earth and the water from getting into the garage, but then lowered the garage to where you can drive into it easily and not, the old Evel Knievel ramp that you can't get up into. So that's something we really made this fit your property. It's kind of like surgery. We do property surgery because it has to match the property that it's on.
Okay, moving on here. What about this? Is kind of neat. Very tight, but a 2-car. Is that a 2-car?
That is a 2-car. That's probably a 20-foot wide 2-car, which is your minimum for 2-car. We typically try to push for a 24 for a 2-car, but sometimes the room just doesn't allow it. So in this case, it's a 20-foot wide, but a nice crisp white garage. And if you notice the brick down at the bottom, the foundation is to duplicate probably the look on the house. The carriage style door, which is something that's pretty popular, but yeah, it's a great little building.
Okay. Another great example here. Tell us about this one.
This is another
Looks a
one.
little deeper.
Yes, it's a little deeper, so they've got a workshop on the back side, most likely, of that one. But again, it's got that, if you look towards the back of the property, it's got the slope of the contour, so we've built into the land, which happens in St. Louis day after day after day because of most of the alleys are lower than the yard, so this allows us to make an easy entrance into the garage, and then you can step right out the back and head to the house.
Very cool. And now a little bit brick, darker style siding there,
Yeah,
and wood door.
right. And that's a steel door with a printed on, looks like wood.
So it looks like wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's got the stucco siding up in the gable, and I'm sure the house, if we had a picture, would have showed that as well.
Okay. And you do have a weather vane that goes on each one of these. Can you see that there?
Yeah,
Let's go here to the next one.
It's just cut out of the picture there for some reason. I'm sorry.
okay. But that's another picture of that.
But I'm sure we've got a weather vane somewhere here.
Yeah.
But the weather vane is a registered trademark that we put on every garage we build. So it's a little coach lamp, and it's actually kind of mimics the logo a little bit.
Okay.
But, do you have another picture there?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about this one real quick. We'll get to. I want to get to the weather.
So
vane.
this is a 2-car door or 2-door garage. The big doors are sometimes more economical, but 2 individual doors gives you more freedom when you're pulling in and out, and less likely to bump against your wife's car or something when you're leaving, and it just works better in most cases.
Okay. And there we go. Now we got one with the weather vane, I think.
Yeah, you can see the weather vane at the top. So that's our registered trademark. Always say every garage gets a free weather vane, and but it's our registered trademark.
And the weather vane serves a purpose. It does tell.
It does tell you
These
which
are
way to
functioning
wind.
weather vanes.
It is functioning weather vane. And it does point in the direction of the wind.
So you know which way to go. And there's another one there.
There's another one there.
And the side entry, 2 windows you can see here, and 2 single doors.
Right, 2
Gotcha.
single doors again, and that, it's all optional. We customize to your wants and needs. We don't have a set specific model setting on the back room that we bring out. Each one is designed for your property.
That's the fun part for me, is going out with people and helping them create. that's for me. That's the best part. Is going to their place, seeing their site, and then hearing what they want to do, helping them carve out what they want it to be. It's just that process is what I enjoy the most.
Well, important stuff, because when you're designing something for somebody, you don't necessarily want it to be what you want. You want what they want, of course,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
And being able to provide that customization allows for people to have their little caveats. And if they've got a moped or something, or maybe they want to put a swing, I can only imagine the options are virtually unlimited with how creative you guys can be. And you guys customize for everybody.
Correct. And one of the things that we do is a question we always ask, so what you going to do? What are you going to put in there? And sometimes customers or prospects are like, well, why do you need to know that? Well, so that we can properly design your garage. We don't expect people to know what size they need. That's our job. If they have 2 cars they're putting in, a motorcycle, a workshop, well, we know now to then what it's going to take, what we're probably going to try to build for them. Doesn't always work because of permits, zoning, and all. You can't cover some of the, properties more than a certain percent. So, but
Makes sense.
It is our focus.
Well, let's get back here. I want to share a couple more of the pictures we've got here, because we got a bunch of great ones. I want to make sure everybody gets to see your guys' work. But this one's rather interesting, almost church style. What's going on here? Very tall door.
Yeah, it's a very tall door. That was for a motorhome. And that has a cathedral ceiling inside. I mean, it really, when you first look at it, it looks like a church.
Right.
But the trim and everything matches the house next to it. So yeah, it's a very, very tall structure. It towers.
Very cool. All right. And this looks like a house almost.
It does. So the garage doors are on the opposite side, on the alley. But then the dormer, you notice the roof up there. So one of the things we've done over the years is expanded and done more customization. So we what they call a room and attic truss that goes up in that upstairs of the building. So it's like a story and a half. They literally have a floor up there, and you could have a studio, something like that up in that area. However you want to use it. Some people put a pool table or something like that. That's quite a little.
A great example of what I was surprised about. I thought it was going to be helping people build garages. It's been pool houses. Just so many different ways to use a building that doesn't have to necessarily be a garage.
Yep.
Pretty cool that way.
Well, good information. Great point, because I want to get, just as we switch back between screens here, and talk a little bit about how it is you guys customize and what you're really offering. People like to see visual, because that's obviously lets them understand what you're doing. One note I wanted to make there, just as an open discussion here, a couple of my more affluent friends that I've been to their main house, and then they have a separate house, and it's literally a living quarter. They keep the car or multiple cars there, and sometimes they've got lifts inside of there, so they put some cars in and then park another car underneath it as they put the lift in above. But they have a living quarters, and it's like you can have a separate bedroom, bath, shower, whatever you need there. How often is that something that somebody does with you guys?
I would say frequently.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's something a lot of people call and ask for. Some more and more people are working from home than they used to be. So sometimes they want an additional office space, place where they can go hang out, have family events, that type of stuff. It's an extension of your home, literally is. And we have, over the years, expanded and added services, like wire in the garage, electrical, drywall, insulation, all those kind of things that we can most times do in most of the areas for people to make it a great experience.
And Jason, is that something that's exciting to do?
You mentioned the lifts. We're having a run on people putting lifts in here lately. The different things that come and go in my short time. I've seen that right now lifts are a popular thing, what you said. I want to keep a car up high and then park under, because I'm limited on what I can do on my property. So maximize the space, and that's the way to do it.
Well, yeah, it gets back to that creativity that we all have, as you guys are seeing us creatively put together a presentation here, hopefully that helps everyone see and exemplify what these guys do to really help families inherited pieces of structure that people, I'm fortunate, my sadly, my dad passed. He's at the next level. I'll see him again. He's up in the big baseball stadium in the sky. And Dennis and I talk baseball quite a bit too. Dennis is a coach, and when they said coach, I thought, so the name of the company is House Garages, and his name's Coach.
Right.
No, it's Coach House Garages. And Dennis is, we could talk baseball for hours, but baseball literally gave me most of the skills, I believe, to be so competitive and to win and to learn how to lose and be on a team and all those things. And so you guys really put together an incredible company that kind of really exemplifies that, and showing what you do to construct something, and being willing to come on and share so much about what you do there. Let me jump back in. I know we got a couple slides I want to cover, because I do want to get every picture that I selected out of a list that we saw to put on here to share with everybody. And so I'm going to jump back to, there it is, and I'll switch back over to our, everybody's just seeing the TV wall behind us and the live shot. They're kind of cool, a little bit separate from the house, but in between, it looks like a kind of a fire pit there, and then a lounge area, but then they can put the car over there.
Right, and the 2 cars in the back there, in the back of the garage, tucked in amongst the trees, still gives them that yard space and driveway area for, however you want to use it. In a lot of cases, nice summer day, you can have a birthday party or whatever out there, open the garage door, have chairs outside, and that type of stuff. So it's an extension of your living. So they're living on the patio, and then they move on out to the garage.
All right, a couple more here.
Yeah,
now that one looks like almost a house again. That is awesome. So neat.
Yes, and that one again has that upstairs, room. Don't know how that one was initially or eventually done, but you've got the dormer up there again, a space where you could, you could have an office set up there where you could be working there if you wanted to, however you want to utilize it. There's just so many different ways to do it. The structure itself is literally just like your house as far as the structure, wood frame structure. Just want to touch on one thing is a lot of manufacturing, a lot of product. In order to keep the price the same 1 year, the next year, the only way is to cut corners, and we refuse to do that. We're still going to do the same 1.5 inch by 3.5, what they call a 2x4, a nominal. We do all those quality products. We literally pick through the lumber before we bring it to your property. Our goal is to provide you a nice, clean structure that is that looks like we tried to do our best, and not just get the most naughty lumber that we can to bring out to your property.
Well, based on what we're showing here to everybody, incredible work. You guys have dynamite looking stuff. I'm just excited to share what you guys talk about here. I do want to get through the last couple of pictures that we've got here, because I do think that these are all great. And guys, we're in our extended version right now. If you've missed any particular part of the show, if you watch this while it aired live on ABC, there was 28 minutes, 30 seconds there. We generally go on for at least an hour. We're coming up close to that. I'm going to take this interview as long as we need to make sure I feel like everybody's getting a good feel for what you're offering. And like I said, our objective is to share success that other people have had, so that they can too model what you guys have done and learn from successful people. I think that's one of the best ways to be successful is to follow successful people. And you guys been doing this for 50 years now. Wow, way to go. So let's just jump into it real quickly. I'll show you the last couple pictures here and talk about these. Now that one looks like it is literally a replica of the house, I guess. Correct. You find the same matching siding. I guess that's pretty typical, but here you can really see that.
Yep. And if you notice, right above the garage doors, there's a little an additional overhang that has some copper-looking metal roof, and they actually have that on the front of the house as well. So that was an all-out effort to mimic and complement the house, not just something setting in the backyard.
Yeah, the shirt has to match the pants, kind of type thing. Or exactly. I guess if I'm my girlfriend's a fashion expert, so there we go. Sorry for that, but that's the best I had. But
yeah,
but another great, and obviously, was this just finished with construction? And they'll fill in the grass, or some people that's how they want to live it. With it,
but that one just doesn't have the grass, back in there yet. But that actually has pretty unique. It's got a porch on both ends.
Oh wow, I see that.
So I believe that's like a hunting cabin type of thing where you could actually have two separate parties in both ends. Spending time in the woods.
There you go. And as we go here, another great example. Fit in nicely. You got a fence kind of in between there to
The black fence that complements the black trim, black doors, black trim, white. It's very popular these days. Everybody wants black trim, black windows, and that. And it's definitely something we can do. It's not not the most economical one, but it is what we can accomplish.
Very good. All right. And this one I really like. I threw this in on my own. My professional opportunity to or amateur opportunity to throw in something I liked.
A lot of people ask about this one.
I say this is a 3-car house garage. This is dynamite. Explain this one a little bit.
And this again has that upstairs attic, and you can only know it's there because of the dormers that are there. But this one is in just outside of Peoria, Illinois. Is a very unique project. Has the dormers up there, so there's an attic area of room up there, stairs inside that goes up to it. It's just picturesque. I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, I want to make a couple other additional points here as we switch back to, and I've only got one camera on me. It's a shared shot, so if everybody would just tolerate me to talk while everybody's in the picture here instead of, but if you look at this beautiful work, this work is done in a very short build time too. Is that true? Some people would say, oh yeah, they can get it done. My brother-in-law can do that. And 6 months later, still working on it, sometimes a year, year and a half. You hear these stories. Talk a little bit about the build time that you guys do.
From the signing of contract, of course, the biggest thing is permits. We can't proceed without having proper permits to proceed. But once that is done, the concrete, so it can, depending on the area you're in, the permit could take, 1 to 3 months, sometimes more. Sometimes there's variances and things that are needed, and we try to help with all of that. But once the concrete is done, typical time frame is once the concrete is done, our building crew shows up no sooner than a week, but most times within 3 to 4. But the day they show up is generally the day they finish on most of those. Now, the one we have in the background, with the dormers and that attic, that probably was a 3-day build. But it's 3 days, and then we're done. We pick up after ourselves, and we're gone.
I got to make sure everybody understands what you just said there. 3 days to build a structure like this.
After the cement is done, or the concrete is done, to the actual.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, how exciting is that for you to be able to offer that to your clients and have something done so quickly? I mean, it's like literally, if you plan this out a little bit, you're ready to get it done. Oh, we need it by the family reunion. Okay, time it, boom.
That's kind of when you're talking to people and you're working out, the logistics of what they want, how the building, and then you lay that on them. Oh, by the way, when we show up here 7 a.m. that day, by the time we leave, in most cases, you're going to have a garage, and that's the wow, really. It happens every time.
As Yogi would say, 50% of the time it happens every time. And that's not the case. It happens every time, right?
Pretty much every time. We really, important to us to be able to deliver. So, we'll replace the truck fleet every 4 to 5 years to make sure we're running with good equipment to be able to deliver. Because every day we can't build for a truck breakdown or something like that is one day that we have a customer that is not happy or disappointed. So it's very important to us that we are able to deliver on time. We're one of the few construction companies that actually has a schedule. Once that concrete is poured, we actually put it into the schedule, and it's a tentative schedule. Of course, weather does play a role in what we do, but I would say probably 9 out of 10 times, once that building is scheduled for a day, it almost always happens that day. But you get the element of weather and things like that, but we get rain out, so everything moves back. But we do maintain and keep a schedule instead of like, well, I'm not sure, we actually try to
right?
Tell you when to expect your product.
And Jason, why is that so important for your customers again? I mean, as a matter of, especially for your region, as a matter of you've got expectations, people, winter, summer, events. How's that play in?
Well, especially this time of year, they're really wanting to get a building out. And some were, we got a family reunion coming up or different big reasons they want it. And how quick can we get it? And they're always surprised when because I had one tell me today, they said, oh, we're going to do this and we'd like it by, and you can do that? Yeah, we can probably do that. It's great that the building is great in itself, but then to be able to provide it in a timely manner and fashion is big.
Well, again, making the whole thing happen, guys. This is a project. This isn't just a little quick decision. It needs to be done professionally, correctly, and for longevity. And you guys are totally exemplifying that. And it's said again, as if in case you missed the first 3 or 4 times I mentioned this during the show, these guys have been around now for 50 years, celebrating their 50th anniversary this year.
Can I add to that?
Please do.
With our 50 year, we want to do something special, and so what we're doing is we have the first 6 months of the year. So through June, anyone that agrees to purchase a building and has it built or is agreed to purchase, locks, gives us an order, will be entered into a drawing. And so in July, we're going to draw, and someone will win up to 50% off of their garage. So, example, somebody's garage, say it's $50,000 garage, they're going to get $25,000 back. Up to 25 is the max on it. But we're giving back a little bit with that. The rest of the year, we're going to do some additional discounts for everybody that wants to buy a garage or is interested in a garage.
I'm going to put that up for everybody to see. It just slid by. I'm going to put it back, which
All right,
we can
good.
still talk. I saw that on your website, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because 50% off of a garage is an incredible
50,
incredible value.
Right.
So
So somebody's going to get to receive a call in July that they've just received 50% off.
50% off. Incredible value. And that's to celebrate the 50th anniversary.
Correct.
Very cool. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about some of the testimonials and some of the, what do some of your clients have to say? I mean, as a matter of doing this, you're going to have a lot of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, not every time does 100% of it go right. But I'd say the reason I don't find any negatives is because you fixed any time there was a problem like that. And it's going to happen. You're not in business if you haven't had something that didn't go perfect. But based on what I'm seeing here, you've got incredible reviews. A lot of people love what you do. Talk about that, if you would, a little bit.
Well, there is the human element you mentioned earlier. That does happen. Things do happen and not work correctly, or something gets done incorrectly.
Miscommunication.
Miscommunication 90% of the time. So our job, our feeling is that we want to take care of it. Just example, many years ago, one of the ways our trim was done above the overhead door was turned out wasn't correct. So all the employees that go out and build will notice these along the way, and occasionally they'll report it back and say this person has an issue with that header. And so one of the things that we've taken upon ourselves, sure, the warranty's up, but it's not correct. So when we recognize it, we go ahead and correct it. We call the customer and say, hey, we're going to come replace a portion of your garage. Oh, well, what's that going to cost? Nothing, because it was done incorrectly. So our goal is to, if it's wrong, we fix it.
Well, that is another key to success. Make sure that if you're doing something, you do it right. And then if you don't do it right the first time, not on purpose, because of communication, misunderstanding, minor detail, some part that didn't realize was whatever, who knows, gravity, right?
Right.
You fix it and you make it right. And that's the key to success. Another one of those keys we're throwing out there, because you have not, I've had people talk to me, in my case, I'm out in the public a lot, and until you've had somebody make fun of you, you haven't made it. You haven't done anything until you, in my case, because I'm out there, there are people that poke fun at what I do. Many times I hit them with a passive, yeah, well, next time come with me and you can visit one of the kids at the hospital with me. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know that's part of what you did. And likewise, there's things that you do a whole lot of behind the scenes to make this thing work. And that's what you guys have to do, besides all of what people see when they say beautiful final product. There's a lot of coordination. The home office has to get this stuff set up right, configured right. And I'll throw this back to Jason. How important is that for your support purposes, so that when you know you've got a project that's due, it's going to get done right? And what you've already seen with how this
Makes it easy, so easy to be able to go out and look people in the eye and tell them what you know that they've been doing all these years. It makes my job very easy, really, when I know that's been backed up for 50 years now. And I'm proud to be able to say those things to people. And I think they see the confidence that I'm not just making it up. It's a fact.
Very important, and another key. All right, so let's talk about, I want to jump into a few things I always want to make sure that we cover. because it's important that these things get talked about. But if you would say there's other companies that do similar work, that you guys kind of a niche, but when it comes up to somebody says, oh, well, and I guess the competitor might be the brother-in-law, right? I can build a garage, it's not that complicated, right? Except that when it falls apart in 7 years instead of 50, you're building another garage, and it costs you, if you save 30% and now you're doing it again, what's the average? You spend 140% to get the same thing.
Exactly.
And not good. Is that who are some of your, who would say these are the people that also, but what sets you apart from your competitors is the question.
Well, our efficiency, for one. Our pricing is still fair. I would always say we're not the highest, we're not the cheapest. We're somewhere in the middle. One of the things that we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it is kind of been an old motto we've had forever, but I think the best answer to that is that our goal is to take care of the customer, treat them fairly, respectfully. Don't have to remember much if you always tell the truth.
It's much easier to not have to cover your tracks,
Right.
if you just said, and I deal with that on the regular. We all, as any kind of business, you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes people give me grief because they're like, you're so direct and to the point. I'm like, life is short.
Yeah.
I know that personally because I was this far from not being here back when I was 19 years old. Fortunate. People say you're fortunate to go through a coma. Well, I tell you, I learned a lot.
Exactly.
Kept it in perspective, and that's what we really appreciate, the people that also exude that, to show, hey, get this thing done right. Let's make it work. Let's do well. And that points to what I wanted to share with everybody too. If you want to look at some of the reviews they do have, they've got a number of them on their website. Click the reviews tab. Go to CoachHouseGarages.com and see what they have on the website here. I have a title here that I want to put up to share everybody a little bit about how they can easily find it for you guys. But there's the information celebrating that 50 years. I made that special little 50-year thing for you. I do a little bit with Adobe. And this is actually a free program called GIMP, by the way. It's just like Adobe, but it's free, 100% free. GIMP, go get that, and then it does most all stuff. But look at that cool graphic, because I wanted to celebrate that for you guys. We showed it on the screen earlier, but let's talk a little bit about what we got here on the wall behind us. I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the wall for everybody to see, and so you can see here are some actual reviews from actual clients, and you can get to where you read more. And I mean, when you really get into what a company does and look at these ratings, you guys, you make it easy for somebody to make a decision because there's so much good said about you guys. You do take the time to do it right, and you can really help people to make a wise decision when spending. None of these things are $50, $100. These are thousands of dollars, right? What's the average range, I guess you could give us a little bit?
Well, a two-car garage can run anywhere from 20 grand to 100 grand, depending on what all you want to do with it. There's so many avenues you can go down. Like Jason was mentioning, the car lifts and stuff, so that's going to require taller walls, sidewalls to be able to get the lifts in there. A lot of things that it can soon add up. But we also have two different types of financing. Two companies we work with that can get you some affordable financing, as much as you can say that today with the interest rates having went to where they've went, but they still try to get good rates for it.
I should have said lifts and lofts.
Lifts
Very
and
popular right now.
lofts and lofts.
Lifts
Yes.
and lofts.
Okay.
L&L.
And Jason, tell me a little bit about this one, if you would. What is a mistake that you see a lot of people make when they're trying to make this decision, and you have to go and go, wait a minute, what you didn't think about is this. This is important.
Well, they think they can cut corners. They start trying to minimize certain parts of the garage, and you have to go, wait a minute, this is very important. Are you sure you want to do that? It happens every now and then with people when they see a number and go, well, I think I can do without this and that. And like, really? Okay, let's look at this one and redirect them.
Yeah, because if they end up cutting those corners, they don't understand that what they're cutting is the integrity of the system, right? That will last a lot longer in that case. And sure, you can save $500 or whatever it might be, and just have this thing again not last as long as you want, because this is a big decision for people. They need to make sure they make the decision correctly. Tell me a time, if you will, Rick, when you really felt like you helped a client went kind of beyond the call, a bad situation that they might have been left in by something else that somebody didn't finish? Or can you give me an example like that?
Go back to many years ago, started a detached garage because the people truly wanted an attached garage. But turned out wrong information was given as far as where the property lines were at, and so where we thought we could build the detached, we couldn't. So we actually had started. The inspector showed up and was determined that the building could not be built where it was originally planned for. So the people had made the decision to have the detached garage because it was going to cost less money than the attached garage. So turns out we were at a point where we needed to help them, but wanted them to have a garage. So we went ahead and did their project for them with an attached garage because of the situation they were in. Felt it was the best way to handle the situation. Took care of them and got their attached garage built. Even though might not have charged what that attached garage price was, but the goal was to take care of them, and we did.
Well, and that's where I talk about that's being a leader in the community when you just do what's right to make it the best. And a lot of people will say, well, you can't stay in business like that. You're going to lose money if you keep doing those things. No, you're building for the long haul. And people realize that and they recognize that. And the word spreads quietly. When you make a mistake, everybody talks about it and they complain. You obviously want to minimize those. But when you do the right thing, that's something that people don't realize. It seems like our culture so often is caught in, give me the quick. I need it right now. I can get away with this. And it all comes back. And you don't last 50 years when you operate that way. And I think that further point to how other people can understand how success can be attained by following your guys' kind of example.
I think it's important to, our goal is always to do the right thing, to help people. If you don't, bad news travels very, very fast. Good news travels fairly fast, but you have to work twice as hard to get that good news to travel at the pace of the bad news, so that everybody would want to hopefully do business.
Well, that's it. Jason, how excited are you to be part of this company? And I'm going to ask you, as you will be somebody who's out there meeting with people, helping them to make a decision. Tell me the process. First off, you're really excited about what you're doing, and then tell me the process.
Very
somebody
excited,
goes through.
yeah. 5 years ago, I didn't know if it would ever happen, and all of a sudden it's 5 years later, and hey, guys are retiring, it's time. Feel like I got called up, the majors. But so what I like to do with people is usually it's a phone call. Hey, what are you thinking? That's how I start. What are you thinking? And let them tell me, and then I kind of take it from there, and we figure out kind of the pieces and parts. And once we have that, and maybe kind of a rough idea, hey, I'd like to come out and meet you. Let's get together. Let's look at your site. Let's see where we're going to put it, measure out where they're going to put it, and so they can kind of start to see for themselves too. And then from there, we pick colors and how they want it to look, and then it just falls into place from there. Once they start seeing that, it's like it speeds up the process for them. So many times they're just ready to move forward. So that's fun.
Important stuff that makes an impact again, and we want people to get started because these are the decisions that help create that family heirloom, something that the family can pass on from family to family. One topic I always like to touch on, and that is, how do you guys contribute to the community beyond the job, beyond the work, beyond the employees that you hire and give jobs to? Tell me a little bit about what you guys do in the community.
Well, and one of the things is we employ good people and try to pay a living wage, not a minimum wage, to the employees so that they can provide for their families and all. But additionally to that, we try to help with local community projects. We've, for the past 3-4 years, I believe it is now, one of the Habitat for Humanity homes that gets built in Central Illinois, we donate and build the truss, the roof system for that home, and deliver it and contribute. That's thousands of dollars of trusses, but it saves that person with the Habitat home from having to pay additional on their mortgage. Touched on mortgages earlier, but it's one of the things that we try to do in the community.
Well, you guys are just exemplary in terms of if a business can model after any business to be successful. And as we started to research you guys a little bit, we said 50 years, that's not normal. I think the average business lasts 7 or something, and that's for those that have not just started up and quit, right? They kind of throw those in, it brings the average down to like 3 or 4. A lot of people do want to start a business, and they want to own their own thing, but how do you make it happen? How do you make it last? And you guys are sharing all of that from top to bottom, and a great example. We appreciate you guys being on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, stay tuned for more. Carter Rethwish, a.k.a. the Cardinal Cowboy. We're always trying to bring excitement to you guys and a little bit more of what we do in the community and the leaders that are doing so. This is the Your Little Castle Show. Do take the opportunity to watch everything we've put out there on our social media. You can see a list of other high-profile, highly successful, and even just good people that are making a difference in our little planet. On our website, you can get a link to all of our social media. So check that all out, and we'll talk to you guys some more. Thanks, everybody.